Good morning, ECOS line team. Welcome aboard, and this is episode 90. Can you believe that? Mr. Bill Bosch here with Northwest Lineman College. He's going to be speaking on a topic that's real powerful. We had dinner last night and we kind of got into it a little bit, but the topic is success starts and stops at the GF. So this is going to be really good, powerful culture message. But first, let me read you a little bit about Mr. Bill, who's our special guest here. He came in from Tennessee yesterday, and we welcome him. Mr. Bill Bosch is Vice President of Apprenticeships and Client Solutions at Northwest Lineman College. Bill not only holds this role, but he comes to us with 45 plus years of experience in the trade, having been in positions that range from his beginnings as a groundman, lineman, foreman, apprentice hotline trainer, dispatch supervisor, up to being the COO and CEO of utility companies. Bill is also the founder and chairman of the National Association of Journeyman Linemen, and currently sits on the board of the Fallen Lineman Organization, something you all should get involved with as well. A few other noteworthy details about Bill are that he is the author and founder of the National Lineman Appreciation Day on April 18th of each year. That's pretty incredible, folks. He sits on the board of the International Lineman Museum and Hall of Fame, and was inducted into the Lineman's Hall of Fame in 2011, with his father being inducted shortly after in 2013. Bill is also the only NLC Eagle to have the experience of running all 5 NLC campuses. In addition to leading the campuses, he concurrently held the title of Senior Vice President of Campus Operations at NLC as well. Currently, Bill is serving multiple roles at NLC, and of all his accomplishments is the proudest of being married to Karen. He speaks about her all the time. And being a father of 5 and a grandfather of 6. With that said, we welcome Bill. Bill, welcome aboard.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, man.
That bio, I must have, it's actually 47 years now.
That's what I thought.
And 2 more grandchildren.
Oh, wow.
So now we have 7 and number 8 is on the way. So just thoroughly blessed, and of course, through our friendship and our trade and what we do, it's just truly a blessed endeavor that you and I are on, and I love you for your friendship and your support. So thank you.
Yeah, no, Bill. You meet folks. I'm not a smart guy, but I have wisdom in that if you're wise, you always surround your folks that are very, very smart and they're good in their heart. And Bill is one of those guys. When I met him, it was like kindred spirit, like instant connection. And appreciate you as well, brother. Absolutely.
Well, I know we got together today and we've talked about this many times. And one of the things in our industry that happens is great communication or not so great communication. And when we think about successful companies, they have individuals that are truly hooked into where and what they need to do. And saying that, it's in what's really important. Is it the check the boxes, or are those companies, those leadership really tie into what's important as far as the human side of it. And when I picked a title for this conversation, Success Starts and Stops with GFs, it's not so much the GF position. It's more of that level where everything you have, if we talk about electricity and we talk about like the funnel and the water, and it comes down, everything flows to a certain point, and it can be communication, it can be culture, it can be retention of employees, it can be so many different things. But messages, expectations, accountability all come to a certain level. then what happens to it? And one of the things that, and I might have mentioned it, is the company culture. And I wrote down who is responsible for the culture at your company, and who is responsible for your company's success, and who is responsible for communication at your company. And I actually wrote down a definition, and I'm actually going to read it because I want to make sure I get it right. A culture is the way of life of a group of people, the behaviors, beliefs, values, and symbols that they accept, and most times passed along by communication and imitation from one to another. And that word imitation is very, very important. One generation to another, in a simple terms, the ability to communicate and accept a path. That's what every company should be looking for, is that culture. And when we talk about safety and training, communication of messages, those people at our companies and those levels are the ones that are important. And they're either going to complement it, or it's going to stop. And then people wonder why they can't retain employees, or why they have problems with safety messages, or do they become a check the box company instead of one that is doing things because it's right. So that's really the basis of this, and it all comes from pretty much one thing, I think, and it's communication. And people as a whole, let's say as a nation, with everything that we're going through right now, is people have lost the ability to communicate and talk, and we go to a task-driven society, which goes into our companies, and we're just checking boxes, and communication is just so important. So
so that's interesting. The what you brought up, Bill, as far as the funnel. Let's lay that funnel, instead of up and down, let's lay that funnel horizontally. Mm-hmm. So everybody knows about Ohm's law, mm-hmm. right? And as far as conductivity, as far as resistance, and all that. So what's interesting is I call it also Team's law. So I took Ohm's law and created Team's law. And now keep in mind that funnel, and let's lay that funnel horizontally. So connectivity replaces current connectivity, and that's what Bill's talking about, human connectivity as far as that communication. So connectivity replaces current, and then mindset replaces voltage, pressure. And so it's mindset times connectivity equals team potential. So what you want to do, that funnel, where it's wide, the mouth is wide, and it funnels down and gets tight, and then the oil, whatever goes into your engine or whatever you're funneling, antifreeze, whatever. But anyways, in Team's law, what you do is you work on the culture to eliminate, right? Mitigate and substitute resistance, because resistance on your team causes that funneling effect.
And if you think about, I love the way you just put that, because when we promote, one of the things we look for is, I would say, maybe a plus and a minus. It's experience. And usually for like these foreman, GF, superintendent jobs, we promote from inside. And so we are either promoting good behavior or we're promoting bad behavior. And sometimes that's hard to change depending on the company culture. And it's so generational too, where old farts like me, I said farts, sorry, old farts like me come from a totally different generation than today. And people learn different, they hear different, they react different, because today's generation is all right here.
Yeah.
And they are the generation of instant information. So, but when we promote these individuals to manage these teams, a lot of times they are operating from experience.
Right.
And the knowledge that they've gained from people who train them. Now that can be good and bad, only because did they learn good behavior? Did they learn the way we used to learn? Back in I was trained by some of the best back in the 80s and 90s and then on till today. But so what do we do today at our companies to help those individuals? I did an exercise. I'm kind of going to jump around here. I did an exercise. We did this presentation at a company not too long ago. And I asked them to list 20 things that a GF or foreman or superintendent does in their day-to-day. And this is really typical. They listed 10, 15, 20 things, and 3 things that weren't mentioned by any of them was mentoring, coaching, teaching. Shouldn't that be the basis of what their job is?
Wow.
But so now we load them with administrative duties, which I call administrative duties. And one thing that our parent company, NLC, is now owned by Quanta. And one thing that Quanta has really driven for NLC and for us to teach and for their companies, and I take this message out to all the companies that I talk to, and it's be doing the right thing and spend your time teaching, training, mentoring, because we're teaching the next generations and they're going to take forward what we teach them. So I really congratulate our parent company for that. But when I was given this presentation, we listed all these things, and they don't have time. And I did a presentation at another company, and one of the safety topics they had that morning was hooking up trailers correct. Okay, they checked the box, they did the safety training, and then what happens? 3 of those trucks drove out of the gate, didn't have the safety chains on, and the pintle hook wasn't closed. So they didn't even hook it, and they just went over it. But we checked the box, and so it's really how do we get where our GFs, our foremen, our superintendents. I'd love. You and I go talk to so many companies, and when you're at one of those companies where those positions actually they have time to talk to an apprentice or to a crew or a lineman, and they talk about process and training and mentoring, how good. And then at the end of the day, what happens? You retain those employees because now you have invested in them, because every person that we hire is an investment.
Right.
And now you're investing time and knowledge and to help them improve, not only as an employee or a lineman or an apprentice or future management position, but now you've invested in them as a person.
Right.
And that's what this success at the GF, and that it can stop or it can flourish there.
Yes, so great points. A lot of bullets there, folks. I likened what Bill is talking about, and I liken unto what I call building your house of safety. So I call the training, the hard skills, the training OSHA regs. I call that simply the foundation of our house of safety, and that's it. If all you're doing is training the hard skills and compliance and the regulations, how to do what to do, to me, all you have is in your house of safety All you have is just the foundation. Now think about that. You have these storms of life come through, things that are going on in people's minds. They're going through trouble, they're going through issues, they have anxiety, they're not so happy with their life possibly. And we haven't built any walls, we haven't built a roof that can handle the storms for our people that we're supposed to invest in. All right, time. Bill said it, time. We got to allow more time for the mentorship, the training, and the teaching. We have to, because if you do not, then you don't have, I'm just so serious because I see this traveling. I can go into a culture, into a company, and you can tell they don't have a house of safety built for their people. And they can't fail safely. There's no place they can fail safely on that foundation that does not have the walls or the roof.
And so I love it because you mentioned the dollar in there. And so communication usually comes from, let's just say, the president or vice presidents or regional managers, and they're coming, and that message is coming down. And so what is that company's communication matrix? What is it? How do they communicate those messages down through the organization? And we like to think that we're making those decisions because of, at the end of the day, it's a business, and people are managing their financials, their P&Ls, and it's a necessity to talk about those things. However, what's the value, if we talk about what's the value in dollars to having that mid-level management, those superintendents, those GFs, foremen, that are, okay, now maybe they're not doing, time cards, they're not doing financials, they're worrying about the people, they're managing for the safety, the training, the education, the mentoring, the coaching. And so what happens if all of a sudden through that style, instead of just looking at paper and numbers and checking the boxes, what happens if you manage by that style of mentoring, coaching, all that we just mentioned? How does that equate to dollars? Now all of a sudden you have a company that's doing right things. They're making good decisions that, sorry to say, it equals dollars. And so now you got a company that's running much more efficiently. People aren't getting hurt. They're happy. Mm-hmm. What's the cost of bringing hundreds of employees on and then losing hundreds of employees? Yeah. So if you create that culture and you create the communication where people are happy, I think we talked about last night, we recently did a survey, 2-3 years ago. Yeah. And I thought, and I didn't know, I was wrong. I'm wrong a lot, but I was wrong. So the younger generation, let's say Generation X and Y, what's the number one thing that they want from their company? And we discussed it last night, and I thought, okay, being from my age, it was money, it was conditions, it was insurance, it was retirement. That has all changed now to where the number one thing that these younger individuals want from their companies is communication from their senior leadership. They want to know them. I mean, everything's right here. Yeah, yeah. They can look up whatever they want immediately, but they want communication from their presidents, their vice presidents. They want to know them. They want to be able to shake their hand and then have that type of culture and that type of communication. And I tell you what, you and I know the companies that are doing it, they ain't got no problem getting people or keeping people.
Yeah, that's right.
The other companies, revolving door. Yeah. So, I mean, that's just one of the things I think that, what's the communication matrix that your company's using? And through that communication matrix, what is the true messages? And your messages also, we talk all the time, you and I, about verbal, but then also what's your physical actions and expectations, because that's what they see.
So investment. Okay, so let's forget about the money, okay, because that's not even the issue. It's actually not about the money. It's all about people, period. Is when you invest in people, you're showing them that they're valued and that they're respected and that they're heard and that they are free to participate within the team. And that's what these, especially the young folks, even a lot of journeyman linemen, I see it as well, that they don't feel like they're respected, they don't feel like they're valued, and there's not a lot of investment. There's, get her done, here's some paperwork, get her done, and we're not allowing them to go out in the field. I would like to see, for example, the CEOs, the operations managers, man, invest in an assistant to where twice a month these folks can get out. The CEO can put on his FR. The CEO can get out there, put on his work boots, and get out there and visit crews, drop off some food, and ask questions. Man, ask questions. Hey guys, how you feeling? How you doing? Ask them how are they? Get to know. Don't be superficial. Stop with the hard skills, but man up to the soft skills. Ask them how they're feeling. Ask them how they're doing today. Get into their well-being of your investment, your people. And that's where we need to go. And the operations managers, man, stop loading them down with all the paperwork. Get an assistant. Let the operations managers go a few times into the field at least and visit different crews, not the same crew every time, but different crews, and bring in some lunch and bring in some waters and things like that. We need to start doing that on a regular basis culturally.
You would think we talk all the time. So, I mean, we go back and forth. So what you just said is, so one of the things at NLC and our parent company Quanta, so we have 5 campuses. So California, Idaho, Texas, Florida, South Carolina, and also we work with Puerto Rico. But one of the things that we are really trying to push, and our parent company Quanta is really asking us, get all of those people to our campuses. Get those people, that mid-level, the foremen, the GFs, the operations managers, get them to the training facilities. All of our campuses are doing a great job. I'll call out one, our South Carolina campus, because we're sitting right here in South Carolina, right down the road in York. They'll have a day, 5 or 10 of those people come on their campus. Yeah. And at our other NLC campuses, we train about 900 companies around the United States. Those GFs, those, we create relationships with these companies, and to get them to come and look at the training. And so they're looking at the training, but the other thing is their people are on site. Yeah. And now they're interacting with the right things and creating the right culture, the right thinking, and it ties those levels, because the people that are on site are usually apprentices, and we all know they are like gold. Everybody's looking for them, because there's just not enough trained individuals in the country. But when you get them there and they start looking at the right things and they start thinking a little bit differently, and they're not shuffling papers on their desk. And I love what you said about the hiring an administrative person. Those people are gold, because they're good at what they do and we're good at what we do. And I don't think there is somebody in the trade, you, me, any lineman, foreman, GF, all the way up to president of a utility company. I don't think they got in the business to shuffle papers or to check boxes. We all got in it for the right reason, but I pulled up a slide, and through our career, this is called the power of choice. And I always call it like the choice stop sign. So something happens when we come from being an apprentice to a lineman And we probably have traditional academia in our background too. But then we start stepping up through our career, and we come up against the what I call a choice stop sign. And if you go left, it's going to take you down a road that you really just don't want to go down, and you shouldn't go down because it's not going to it might benefit the company on a very short, narrow mindset. But you take that right, and you go down something that we're coaching, we're mentoring, we're teaching others, we're investing in those people. Now all those other things happen: the retention, the culture, the safety, which is number one, that we're really what we're here to talk about. And so all those good things happen when you come up to those, and it needs to start when these young men and women are going to a line school, or they're choosing a career, or they go to a co-op, a muni, investor-owned contractor, military. They need to, they're going to have hundreds of thousands of decisions to make by the time they, let's say by the time they become an apprentice to a lineman, and then forward in their career. When they come up on that decision roadblock or that stop sign, that's when they really got to think. And you probably heard me say this. And I usually say it at graduation speeches and stuff. And I always ask, what is the most important tool in your toolbox? And everybody will come up with great answers. For me, it's you see it every morning and you see it every night, and it's a mirror. And because at the end of the day, only two people are going to tell you if you're doing it right. One is the Lord. The other one is the guy looking back at you in the mirror. And that guy's going to tell you, did I do it right today? Did I do what I was supposed to do today? But that person looking back is also going to tell you, well, you really screwed up today. You should have, went right instead of going left. But so that, I just wanted to bring up that decision crossroads. It's pretty important.
Yeah. So basically, are we gonna be proactive, or are we gonna live a life that's reactive? So in other words, we just stay in the stagnant water, and when something happens in that stagnant water, then we're reactive. So in other words, we basically allow our emotions to dictate what we do. Where when you're proactive, your emotions aren't in the picture. When you're proactive, you do what you need to do and should be doing as far as the right thing. That's being proactive. And I've seen so many times, Bill, where I'm going to do some training and maybe they have a safety stand down, which to me is a military command that is kind of like putting your thumb on people, calling it a stand down. Mr. Lito Wilkins, he held a stand up, International Line Builders in California, PG&E and Michaels and all that part, but he held a stand up. And what we need to do is we need to stop with this superficial treating everybody like a number. We got to stop all that. Stand down. We got to stop that. We need to learn, in continuous learning process, we need to learn how to encourage, because our industry, and a lot of you all know this, we're not too good at encouraging one another, but we're really good at putting somebody down, calling them an idiot, moron, things like that. Why'd you do that? We're really good at that, but we're not too good at being positive with one another and encouraging one another, building up one another. And we need classes to learn those soft skills, really do.
Yeah, and again, that's just, it's really the company has to put a definition of value. And those soft skills are so important, and we, for some reason, we put emphasis on value in some areas and not in value and not in other areas. And so, I would challenge, companies that are watching today, or companies that will watch this in the future, or any companies that you and I go talk to all the time, do the exercise of taking those important positions and have them list what they do in a day.
Yeah.
Have them list what they do in a week, and have the discussions in a group. Maybe it's 5 people, 10 people. Maybe it's recently did one with probably 70 to 100 people in it. But go through the exercises of what they're doing, and don't put a time limit on it. If it's a day, if it's a couple days, whatever, it's going to pay off.
Yeah.
And start concentrating and putting emphasis on communication, face-to-face, investment, or let's say a different style of investment in our people, because it's truly going to pay off. Because if we can, every time we talk or we have discussions out there, have deaths and accidents gone down? I don't know what the exact number is every year, but I would say it's not going down.
Not at all.
And I think there's a positive movement, and people are realizing that, and I call it autopsies, and that's really a terrible word. But when we try to figure out, and it can be, we figure out, okay, well, why did we fail at this project? Or why did we not make the money we were supposed to make? Or why did this accident happen? We do an autopsy. What good is an after the fact? And so we do this after the fact. We try to figure out, but then, okay, that could be positive if you take lessons learned and apply them and coach and mentor and train and do all the things we talk about. But, do we just blow smoke? And we feel good, we did an autopsy, we know why it happened, and because we all know out of 1,000 accidents, 999 of them could have been avoided if we change one thing.
Right.
And that's usually a cultural item. That why, when we figure why didn't we, but we never talk about it. We never take those lessons. I'd say I'm wrong. We do take those lessons forward. There's a lot of great companies and a lot of great people, but as an industry, we need to start really being honest with ourselves too in our communication. And when we talk about that flow of communication, and it all goes back to success stops and starts at the GF or the foreman or the superintendent, because that's where those practices are really driven. And really, the point of our discussion is they care, but we also got to give them the time to care. So,
yeah, it's one of the things Jimmy Vaughn talks about is root cause analysis. And what's amazing is, and you all can read the OSHA reports on an incident, things like that, after the fact, and the one thing that those root cause analysis won't talk about, and you alluded to this, Bill, is that 999, maybe 1 out of 1,000, the root cause is actually pretty correct. But basically that 999, if we don't get to the true root cause, we're not going to get to the solution. I mean, look at SIFs, right? Like you were talking about. The evidence is already there. How do you measure it? You have the evidence. It's in the courtroom. It's on the table. The jury sees it. And it's like the jury can't hear. The jury has no eyes to see. And the evidence is right in front of us. We're not getting to the true root cause, and we're not finding the true solution at all. When the true solution is, the reason why Johnny forgot his gloves and made contact with the conductor is because he just got in a fight with the GF that was on site. And the GF was upset because the ops manager got down his throat just a few hours before getting to the job. So it just trickles down. All these issues and all of our troubles, we just hand it off to one another. And then Johnny, what happens is he forgets his glove because he's all messed up in the mind. He's not thinking straight because he just got called all these kind of names and curse words and stuff. And then he makes contact with the conductor, and guess what? The root cause analysis will say, he forgot his gloves. That's it.
but why?
Yeah.
Yeah. We all have these stories from our past, and we think back and we think to ourselves, yeah, we know why it happened, but we just don't drive to that root cause, and that's just a great point. And like, I'll circle, and I've pretty much gone through everything that I would go through, except for I do a lot of these exercises with the teams when I give this presentation at companies, and love to come to your company, love to talk about these subjects, and Brent and I are also in a lot of areas together. I mean, we can tag team some of them, but love to come in and speak about these things. And our parent company, I've mentioned them 2 or 3 times. It's Quanta has really pushed us into, even NLC, we are an education facility, and they are really pushing us to think about safety and training differently. The energy wheel, the different things. I mean, and you've expanded on these ideas to a whole nother level. And but Mr. Comfer, some other individuals that I just really, they're just great individuals that talk about, but they're pushing us to think differently and assign value in different areas that are important, that drive root causes, that drive better outcomes, and improvement for these companies, and attacking some of the challenges that we talked about, like retention and just looking at safety and training and mentoring a different way. But we got so many great people out there, so many great companies that if we can just get them to maybe start having a different discussion. A lot of them are. I was just at a company that had an accident a couple years ago, and I was up in the Northeast speaking to this company. It was up in Virginia. Amazing co-op, and they realized we got to change. We got to do something, and they're having all these right discussions now. And I think as an industry, if we're always going to have the union, the non-union, the co-ops, munis, investor owns, contractor. We're always going to have these, I'll just say it, we have these silos. Break down the dang silos, and let's all realize that we have more in common than we have different, and we all want to go to the same place, and we all want to improve our people, train our people. NLC can help with that. We're there for all kinds of different training at our campuses, and all different things. So anybody that wants to call me can just give me a holler, and I'll either jump on Teams or Zoom or Delta, or you and I live on Delta and Hilton. So but love to just continue this with all the people that we work with.
So Bill, you already have a line legend. You already established a line legend. We just read about it. It's amazing. So you are free. You are free to go forward now with a Northwest Lineman College. You're free to do that. What would you like to leave with Northwest Lineman College as far as you're free to create, you're free to build? What would you like to see and encourage others to embrace moving on in this culture change, the renaissance, basically?
Yeah, that's a tough one, Grant.
I know, that's why I asked it.
I would say it goes down to the core of a person. My 3 things, and I might have mentioned it, I've mentioned this to you, is friends, family, and faith. Not necessarily in that order. And we got to, personally, I've been on a personal journey myself, and if you're not willing to look in the mirror, if you're not willing to improve yourself, you're never going to help anybody else. And I tell you, that's one thing that NLC and Quanta does for me. They give us the ability, they give us the resources to better ourselves, and that in turn we can help other companies. And I mean, like I say, we almost do work with 1,000 companies out there. Big ones, small ones, one apprentice up to hundreds of apprentices. And so I guess the one thing, if we can influence the mindset, help with the communication, help with the culture, you know, the official message is, yeah, we got all kinds of training, we got all kinds of curriculum, we got all kinds of things that through our parent company and us, we have something called a One Solution. We can give you help with your construction, we can give you help with training, we can give, I mean, anything that company needs, we can help out with the physical. But if we can help them be better people and improve, you know, the value in different ways, I think that's probably almost more important than the physical things that we can do. So if that's the one thing, I don't even know if I answered your question.
You did. You did. So you brought up the word why twice now, and working with the people as individuals, and finding their why. And we have to, it's so important that we discover, you look in that mirror, you have to discover and understand, why are you here? Why are you doing this? Friends, family, faith. We need to know, you need to know your why, and we need to connect with one another, and we need to discover each other's why. You're going from Core Electric Cooperative, I just got done training with them. They have 5,000 square mile footprint, and they go from one area to another area to do a repair or do some maintenance and work like that. And they have an hour one way, 2 hours one way, an hour or 2 hours back. Get to know your pole buddy. Get to know their why. When you're practice this, when you have your job brief, before you engage in the work itself, talk about each other's why on the job brief. It's so important. You're looking at hazards. You're looking at risks. Your knowledge of them in order to identify them comes into play with the skills, the skill learning. But learn the skill. Now, talking about communication here. Learn the skill of communication, and don't talk about the what, the body, the physical skills like Bill's talking about, but talk about their heart. Talk about their mind, their why. Get to know the person. And I'm telling you, when you guys practice that, even on a job brief, practice that in the truck with one another. When you practice that, I'm telling you, and you really are truly your brother's keeper. We say this all the time. People get it, they get it inked on their arm or on their chest or their back. I'm my brother's keeper, my sister's keeper. You know what? None of that matters to me. But actions speak louder than words. So apply the actions thusly. Basically, Bill here is giving you all the formula, the equation, the answer. We must go forward with this, and that's your legacy. You're leaving, Bill. I feel it, man.
Well, I mean, we got a lot of good people out there,
yeah.
And you know, I know your history, I know your faith, and I know, you know, if we just talk about it, and we help people listen, and I, you know, I don't want to. This is not negative, because we're a small industry, relatively, as far as a trade, but we are a huge family.
Huge.
And it's pretty much, no matter who you talk to in the industry, they probably know somebody you know, and you can expand on those conversations, and you know, we thought, hey, you know, so-and-so, you know, and it's just like, it might have been from past or present, or but yeah, it's just, let's do what's important, and it's really communication and culture, and just doing things right. And I think that there's so many great people, so many, that I learn from my teams every day. I had a gentleman who contacted me, must have been a week or two ago, and he's going through some life changes and just wanted to be back with his family. And you know, we've all been through that phase where we're all we know everything, but this gentleman, you know, it comes to a point where he figured it out. He wanted to be around family. He wanted to be around his kids, and you know, we weren't that can't say those type of words here. That certain type of lineman, and but now he wanted to be a great lineman. He wanted to be a great father. He wanted to be a great husband, and now he's at the co-op that he wants to be at. And
that's a great story.
And I have those stories probably every week that past students or somebody will contact me, and they're going through these changes, and can you help me? Well, dang, Skippy, I can. You know, if you're doing the right things, there's thousands of people out there that are going to help the generations coming up. But let's just all do it. Let's all do it. So cool.
So folks, this is great. Make sure you get the Electroculture Safety episode 90 with Mr. Bill Bosch as guest, and Northwest Lineman College. You can see the logo right there on ECOS, and that's what Bill is basically talking about it as far as coming together as a family. That's what ECOS is all about. That's what Northwest Lineman College is doing. That's what Quanta is implementing. And we all need to do it wherever you're at, whatever contractor you work with, Muni, Electric Cooperative, or Investor-owned, wherever you work. We all need to do this together, because together, that's the only way we're going to be able to change this culture, is if we are together. And I like to, when I do a presentation, Bill, I like to finish the presentation with one little thing at the bottom of the very last slide. And I like to challenge the folks. And that challenge is working, ready? Is working as a team a condition of employment? So this is what we're talking about. This is what Bill is reaching out for, and implementing and growing and fostering amongst all the folks that he's interacting with. And he interacts with a lot of folks. So, but we got to do this together, brother.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, my contact, you can reach me at bbosch@lineman.edu or 678-228-7565. I'll jump a plane, come talk to your teams, do some exercises, and let's just all do this together. God bless and be safe.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.